what's the first thing? Actually, no. What's the most important thing? What's one word that defines the nature of the class? Begins with
transitions.
Yes. T, transitions. Here's a little saying for some of you. I like to make a transition in a transition. I make a transition of an embrace in a transition of a step. In between my movement, from one movement to the next, in the middle of the step, Analinda, I make a transition of the embrace. Yeah. Let's actually review the very first game that we played after the first pattern that you learned. I've lost my partner. So what do we call this game? When we're facing each other without touching?
What game?
Hypnotize.
No,
Change the grade or something.
But this one, what is this?
Human magic.
Human magic.
Does it work on the street?
No. Unless they're a tango dancer.
Right, so if you approach 1,000 people on the street, maybe one of them will do this, and the rest of them will probably hurt you or run away. Okay, now we actually have our embrace. So when we're using our embrace in a transition, what is going on?
Oh, again?
So hypnotize my partner. When I make a transition, when is it going to happen?
In a minute.
Yeah, transition happens in the middle of the step, in a transition. What's my right arm doing?
Letting go.
And what's my left arm doing?
Letting go.
Yes.
Okay. And then what's this to open up again?
Walrus.
Yeah, gentle walrus. What's the left hand doing when we transition to close? So you've answered a few, so let some others answer. It's good.
Sorry.
No, it's good. You get an A. Or B plus. Actually, don't give A's in class. I'm sorry. Yeah, you will need to be in this
Harsh
class.
teacher, no?
Yeah, I'm not taking his class.
All right. So if you pull just a little, it's unnoticeable from the outside. You're inviting her in, or if you just push her a little as an extension of the gentle walrus, she can go back. What are we trying to avoid, followers? With the leader's right hand, what do you not want him to do?
Bear claw.
The bear claw. Yes. So this is an elegant, if you remember, I said in the beginning of class, an elegant way to transition. The first pattern was what? Yes. Do you remember?
Vanilla bean.
Good. Vanilla bean ocho, which means what? For the follower?
No pivot.
Yeah, no pivot. Again, I'm rollerblading. What happens? How do I lead her to pivot? Yeah, my shoulders rotate. That, by the way, is called mocha java. I don't know if Buenos Aires they have mocha java, but it's a little bit of coffee and chocolate.
Yeah.
But no, okay. So, right. So this is vanilla bean. Okay. Plant my left foot, and then what? Turn. Where am I facing when I'm done? Again, it's a metric. This might not work in the real social dancing, but I find most of the time I come pretty close to it, okay, with an average of dancers.
So followers, after our back step, how are we making that side step? Around, what else? Long. Yeah, it has to be long and around.
Yeah, if it's away, the leader's on one leg, falls into you. Great. And then we made a transition. How did we make the transition? Maybe you can watch so we can remind you. What happened? We went down a little.
Changed weight.
Yeah, changed weight as I pulled the paddle back into the boat.
And what does that lead her? What does it lead? Besides the cross, what happens after a cross? The forward pivot.
The forward pivot happens because I do what? I didn't really explain it to a lot of people. I was trying to just hopefully have you figure it out naturally. If I do a back pivot, as I retract the paddle, put weight on it, and pivot backwards, it naturally leads her to pivot forward, especially if I'm not what with my embrace.
Rigid.
If I'm holding her, squeezing her onto me, she's not going to pivot and do this nice forward ocho. If I let her go and take my axis and pivot, she's probably going to pivot. Yeah, it's a natural extension of this kind of thing where if I do a back ocho, Cristina will probably do a forward ocho. It's just I've minimized it to almost nothing. Tiny little step. That's the lead energy for the ocho. Unfortunately, how many other things are you trying to do at the same time?
I'm sorry, so what does it look if you don't open? Because you were saying earlier you can also do it without opening. She's just not going to feel it.
Let me try. Can I try it with you?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to try not to open.
Kind of.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it's really weird.
How about if I
I
open
feel
up
like
a...
I cannot.
Yeah, you can't. You feel like...
Yeah, I cannot. There's no way.
Yeah, her spine is not free to rotate, so
Right, I
that her,
cannot-
yeah, and therefore her hips are not free.
How about if we find a compromise? This is where tango becomes confusing, because watch, you're going to think that I didn't really open. If you didn't have this class, you would think I was in this apilado embrace the whole time. Well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, that probably. So you open that side of the
Yeah, I followed my rules. No bear claw. I let go with my right hand, my right arm. I gave you your axis, and that allowed you to do what inside of the embrace? Right, so we were no longer in an apilado position.
They're not tilted, even though their toes are touching.
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? We'd like to do a little demo.
No, but you gotta show the leader's footwork. You get two options for the leader's footwork. So besides just collecting and doing this, leaders, you can do something free when you're really comfortable. Yeah.
I have to do it now.
Yeah. So they can record you. So one option, leaders, it doesn't change anything for us followers. Yeah? Just leaving that left, is that right? That left leg behind. But there's this much more spiral going on. And then the other,
I can't talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Just real quick.
Uh-huh.
The paddle doesn't collect into the boat. The paddle stays out here, decides to do a kind of fancy swimmy paddle action in the water.
So does that mean you leave the forward ocho on your left?
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
No weight change.
It's a little harder because your body's turning this way while your hips are turning the other way, but in some weird way it gives me energy and it somehow
Because
creates
it's
this
so
interesting...
twisted.
Yeah. The second thing... Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Second thing is a little trap. I can just keep it low enough so she can pass through, or I can, as she passes through, I can block her, which Doria felt a few times, and then let her go. So you'll see this in the demo. Again, this happens because I've given Cristina what? I've opened the embrace and given her what position? Doria?
Sorry, she was grounded on her axis.
Yeah, on her axis. She's not tilted forward. If she was, I'd be falling. I'd have to hold her up. I mean, I couldn't do all this kind of stuff on my own axis. Yeah, so that's the whole point. It's a functional.
Ladies, the moment you feel your leader's body coming off of you, or you feel like they're going back, you got to do the same thing. Don't stay forward. And in order to help yourselves to really go back and really take your vertical axis, use your embrace. That's why it's there. To help you establish the new axis and help you maintain it. Don't get stuck in this position. Okay?
son largas las semanas cuando estás cerca de mí. No sé qué fuerzas sobrehumanas me dan valor